I guess I would sum up my time here with just gratitude. I mean, back in 2019 when I signed, like it was, I thought I was ending the end of my, I was headed towards the end of my career. I thought, there's not much time left. Um, I've been in Poland for 3 years. I've been doing decently, but I wanted to try to, make one last chance for a medal, any medal. Um, and I knew this team had a history at that point, was super consistent, nothing flashy, but just a good team that knew how to play volleyball, and it's something I wanted to be a part of. Um, and then 1 year turned into two, into three, into four, into five, into six, and I've accomplished so much more than I ever thought I would. We got a trophy, my first match with the club, and we reached the pinnacle of European volleyball. Something I didn't even know to dream of when I first started playing volleyball. I remember 2008 when I first heard about Champions League. Like it just seemed like something so grand and so far away and so out of reach for first year professional David Smith, and to be in Champions League, um, in France to just compete, but also always hitting the towering teams of Italy, of Russia, and Poland, and just never seeming to be able to move beyond that, and then being part of one of those teams, and then being that team that everybody else comes against, and then just battling through the craziness that was 2021 of COVID and empty stadiums and matches being canceled at the last second because somebody was sick, and uh, like going through airports but nobody else was there. I mean, it was just a surreal experience, and then to finally make it to Verona, again, completely empty, but one of the biggest matches of my club career, and then to be able to do that with that special group, and then a couple months later see everybody in Tokyo in the Olympics, like the entire starting lineup made the Olympic roster, and I was just so proud of that team and what we were able to do, and then to be able to repeat it the next season and the next season, something I never would have dreamed of. So, um, especially for a club that I originally signed just for one more year, uh, it became probably the highlight of my career. I think the first one was the most special just because it had never been done before. We were kind of in uncharted territory. We'd had a really good season, and then we just ran out of gas in the Bundesliga finals. And I know how disappointed we were. And we had 2 weeks to put the pieces back together and do something special in Verona. And we were able to do that. And I think that was, I think for Polish volleyball, obviously for the club, obviously for our fans, even though they weren't able to be there, I think that was just a super special moment. Yeah, that was probably the one that stands out the most, just because it was the first, and because it was, again, uncharted territory. It's not like somebody had been able to go there before and show us the path, and we had a couple gnarly knockout rounds too, where we had to, win in 5 sets and then go to a golden set after that, and again, empty gyms, and you just want to collapse on the floor when you're done. You put everything out there, and thankfully in this case, it was worth it. I mean, every coach obviously has their own style, different vision, different tools too. I mean, we had different rosters every year. We had a couple core pieces that kind of came through, but we also had very important pieces that kind of had to get replaced every year as well. And I think Gerber did a fantastic job in that he created that vision to begin with. He kind of spoke confidence into the fact that we were one of the best European clubs, and we just need to go out there and prove it. We didn't need to add anything more. We didn't need to do more than what we have already done, but like we had that capability within us, and that's a hard thing to sell when you've never done it before. With a group of guys that were pretty experienced, that have been around volleyball, like we knew, like we'd never touched the ceiling before, and to have a coach come in very clearly with that vision that we will win Champions League, and had a very clear path of how to do it. We were not the most physically overpowering team, and we knew from the beginning we would have to side out like crazy at insanely high percentage. And so we trained that every day, and that's how we were able to win that championship. And then Gianni had to come in with all the expectations the next year. New setter, new libero, and kind of exceeded all those expectations. And we did a little bit more. We did it a little differently. It's a very different coaching style, but he also had a standard that we were not going to dip below. And we had our blow-ups in training. We got to blow up in matches because he knew what we were capable of, and we knew it too at that point because we had done it already. But to do it day in, day out, you need a coach with that kind of energy and that kind of standard. And he brought that every day, and that's not an easy thing to do. And then with Tomas, it's the same thing. We had to, he came in with the back-to-back, even a heavier load, and at the beginning of the season, we didn't quite have all of our pieces there. We were still trying to figure out who we were as a team. We had some injuries, we had a lot of stuff going on. And then I think we found it at the right time around the Polish Cup. I think we ran out of gas again and Plus again, honestly, you shouldn't be played out of their minds in that series. But again, we had to pick up the pieces, put them together for the Champions League final. And he had that intensity as well. And I think there was, I think that's something all the coaches share. It's just the intensity and the standard and the level of play that they expect and professionalism from their players. Obviously, they all have their own styles, how they communicate that, how they work with different players, but in every case, it worked. And I think that's something that speaks a lot to the club, the culture of the club, I think, in that you can have head coaches change, you can have setters change, you can have a lot of pieces change, but the core is still the same, and the identity and the style of the club was able to be strong for so long. I think the core that we had here, just understanding that we're here to do work, we're here to be professionals, and we're not just there was an expectation and there was a demand and there was just a level of respect for each other and for the game that it's very unique, and it transcended individuals, and I think that's when it becomes really powerful. Yeah, I think it's something really special. I've always, even before I played here professionally, I've always admired, Polish volleyball culture, and to be able to step into that and be a part of it and usher it into a new age. I played with a lot of the guys that are top players now when they were 18, 19 years old, be able to see them grow and develop and, become Olympians and become Olympic medalists, and I think that's something super special. It's something that means a lot to me. I think, having, raised my family here for so long, like we do have a part of our heart that is attached to Poland. And, I think that's something really special about kind of navigating the duality of it. Obviously I'm very proud to be, American and where I'm from, and I've been able to compete with the national team on that level, but then also professionally be able to contribute so much to Polish volleyball I think it's something pretty cool. No, for sure it's a second home. I think the phase of the life of my family, like the kid going to school, my son's pretty much gone through entire primary school here in Kędzierzyn, so that's a big part of his life. And, my daughter was only 1 year old when she came here. Now she's about to start primary school next year, and it's very, very much a second home, I think my kids have spent more of their life in Kędzierzyn than they have anywhere else. So for them, it's probably a first home. But yeah, I know coming into it, I didn't know what to expect, and you want to try to set down roots and make connections. You never know if it happens or not. I've tried many other clubs and it just doesn't work, and that's just part of life and part of business and part of the volleyball cycle. But when you have something like this that sticks and you make that connection and you're able to hold on for as long as I have, and not just hold on for the sake of holding on, but like able to contribute and make memories and make history and evolve something and make it better than when you first came in, I think that's pretty special. It was definitely a difficult experience, and it was very odd because it's the first time in so many years that we actually had struggled that we couldn't overcome. Um, and not for lack of trying, and definitely not for lack of trying to find solutions and make it better and turn the ship around and right our direction. But yeah, it was just, I think in the moment it was like I don't want to learn anything because it's just all bad. It felt bad. It's not who we wanted to be and how we wanted to show ourselves on the court and to our volleyball community and fans. But I think as time separates us from those moments, like I realized that's just part of life, and those are important lessons, and I'm going to face insurmountable obstacles and challenges in the future, and how the lessons that I learned during that time, I think are going to help me in the future. I wish it didn't happen. Obviously I wish we could win 4 Champions Leagues in a row, but again, like, it doesn't discount what we did and like the amazing journey that we came through. I think in a sense it did help shape up this season. I don't think, again, we didn't win all the trophies that we want to win, but I do think the culture kind of found its way back. Like, we had a good vibe, we competed hard, had to deal with a lot of injuries again, but I felt like the group itself never gave up, and we were able to, win matches that maybe didn't make sense on paper, but hopefully we're coming back to that culture again. Honestly, the one that I probably remember the most is the Bundesliga title. So it was my second year that we won Champions League, and because I know it escaped us the year before, and I thought we had a great team the year before, and obviously we did. We won Champions League, but I felt like that was the one thing that we were missing. And I remember we won in NBA, same court that we lost it the year before. And it was a beautiful day. And then we came home and we had a good, team bonding. It was like a good balance, because it wasn't like you win and then you're done. It was like you win, you achieve something really special, but then we also had something more to go in Ljubljana in a couple of weeks after that. And so it was a really good moment with the team. Like, everybody was happy. It was a blend of like celebrating, but like sharp focus too, because we knew we had a chance to win the Triple Crown. We knew we had a chance to do something really cool. And it was my birthday too, so it was the next day at least. But yeah, I just remember being with the team around a campfire, and it was just a really good moment. I think getting into it, like, it wasn't here with ZAKSY, but I worked so hard just to get my foot in the door, just because it is a challenging league, and it demands so much of the players. And I think having the experience I have of playing in many different countries, every country has their own style and culture, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to it and to be able to compete. Like, I can always play volleyball, but to be able to compete within a new environment, it was a challenge. And so that's what I had to discover my first year in Bundesliga. I think by the time I arrived here, like, I was pretty comfortable with Bundesliga, with Champions League, having experience in all the different areas. But I know when I first came, like, I knew how to play them, and I just won a bronze medal in Rio. Like, I knew I was a good volleyball player, but I know I struggled my first couple matches in 2016, and I wanted so badly to show that I belonged and that I was a good volleyball player, and that I deserved to be here, and that I could contribute to Bundesliga. And I know that was probably the biggest challenge I had to overcome. Like, I think everybody understood what it meant to play for this club, and it was very welcoming. I felt like I fit right in with the guys, got right to work. It clicked super well. We knew how to win games right away. We knew how we had to show up every day for training. So I don't think it was not really a challenge arriving. You maybe just living in a new city, you got to find out what restaurants there are, where to go shopping, where I send my kids to school. But as far as the club went, like, I had no problem coming. No, I mean, I think your environment matters. I think who you surround yourself with greatly influences what you're capable of doing. And I think, one of the strengths of this club is we've always been able to put good players on the floor and in training, and the staff is there to support you. So I think you have to be mindful of who you have around you. Sometimes you don't have that much control. You just show up at a club and who's there, But you can always use the people around you to build stronger foundations and to kind of have that synergetic energy to kind of be more than each individual part. Again, I think gratitude is the right word. I think the support over the years has been amazing. Even when we didn't have fans in the hall, we knew that they were always cheering and they were waiting for us outside to celebrate big wins and encouraging us in tough losses. So I think having that support, travels so well, obviously home court advantage is amazing. But they really do care about the club and they care about the players and how we represent the city. And it's been an honor, it's been a privilege to be a part of that. And it's something that I'll remember forever.